There it is.
You're live.
And we're live in all venues. It's just well, hello everybody again. It's wonderful to say hello to you. We're a little bit earlier than
Tuesday afternoon
normal, but this was the time slot we were able to make work. This is the lovely Kate Semmens. I'm Dean Nixon, live coming at you from TurningLeaf Health and Wellness in sunny St. George, Utah. So we are so excited to join you again and be back. We love to sit down every week as much as we possibly can and provide for you life coaching topics or topics in personal development and self-help work is a way to move you forward.
Yes, and we like to usually have a topic that's on topic, right? Like something that we see going on socially in the world, or maybe something that's coming across our couch kind of repeatedly in the week. It's how we gather the ideas for what we want to talk to you guys about. So.
Yes. So this week it's a little different. I got something in my ear.
I'm hiding mine in my hair.
We're hoping that this helps with the audio, so you'll have to give us feedback.
Yes.
So I didn't forget and just leave this in where it's serving a purpose.
So our topic for today that we thought would be kind of fun to just have a little conversation around is this idea of having a breakdown, right? I was talking to Dean and I was like, I find it really interesting, an interesting phenomena. Oh, thanks, Natalie. She said, Instagram sounds good. Awesome.
Thank you.
YouTube hopefully sounds good also. It's this interesting phenomena that I've been in observation of over the last little while, not only in my life, but also as I just am a fierce studier of human beings, right? And watching us in our societies and how we operate. And it's so interesting to me how I and the people I observe are so resistant of just getting to a place where we have a breakdown, right? Where we like, quote, kind of fall apart, do an ugly cry, like allow all the things that we're trying to hold and keep together within ourselves to just fall apart a little bit. And it's what's interesting to me, Dean, is I feel like for myself and you guys as the studio audience, like I like to call you, you get to tell me if this is your experience too, but mine tend to come almost cyclically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like kind of this pattern throughout the year, depending on lots of different things. But it's that resistance to the breakdown that I'd wanted to talk to you and you guys about today. And so that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
It was a long intro.
That's a great intro. It was great. It's funny because when I look at breakdowns and I look at the process and the journey of breakdowns that we need, it's a necessity, and it's something that's important for us to be able to do. And it's always cracks me up because I always look at Kate's, and she's gonna hate me. Can I be perfectly transparent?
Oh gosh, Dean,
this is
please.
me. Normally it's her, and then she outs me. So now I'm doing this and outing her.
Here we go. Who knows what he's going to say, ladies and gents.
But up here in her little Google thing, it says update over in the corner. And it is so interesting to me how many people resist doing updates on their phones. They resist doing updates on their computers. And a lot of it's because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if it's going to reset, or last time I did it, I had this experience. I hear so many different things.
Pick up a virus or blah, blah, blah.
Whatever it may be. But what I've experienced is we as human beings are the same way. Our breakdowns, our meltdowns, our come aparts are just updates. And we're so afraid of that update. We're so afraid to just click, yes, I accept the terms. Yes, I'm going to move forward. Yes, it's going to change a few things. But the reality is every time you update it, it's got the bug fixes. It's got all those things. So it's the same thing with us. But I agree with you. We are so afraid because a lot of us haven't really developed a couple pieces. Number one is the self-soothe mechanisms that we have to create. We've got to learn, and we can circle back and talk about these. We also have struggle creating the coping skill of resolution, which is bringing things to a level of resolution where I can say, okay, what am I learning from this? Or how do I move this forward? Or how is this impacting me? Or what do I do with this? And the third piece that causes us to be afraid of it is we're just so afraid of things that have happened in the past happening again that we just don't want to go there, and we just don't want to touch it.
Yeah. I completely agree. I'm going to add a fourth one and this is a personal one.
Please.
I feel like sometimes a lot of my resistance to just letting the breakdown happen is my perception of how it will be perceived, right? Like
Yeah.
it's no secret that I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? Like I out myself on that in a lot of past lives. So go check those if you don't believe me. But it's that wanting to always show up looking in a certain way sometimes really keeps me stuck. And from my update, I love how you made that correlation, right? From allowing myself to just have a breakdown because, oh, I'm supposed to be the one having it all together. So it's a value piece even.
Right. Yeah. And that, I mean, I totally relate to that.
Mhm.
And the more that we get into the mental health and into the personal development industry, it becomes even more difficult. So there's a lot of mental health providers and a lot of personal development people that follow us and are watching. And you know what I'm talking about, where there is this fear that if I am authentically going through life's processes and people see my authenticity, that somehow it will devalue and minimize my credibility in my work. And what I have found, it's quite the opposite. The more that I've been authentic and human, the more I've been real about my past, my life, my breakdowns, my hurts, my ups, my downs, the more people see me as relatable, and the more that they see me as understanding them more. And so it's the same thing as a parent. It's the same thing as an employer. It's the same thing as a clergy, a spiritual leader, any of us that are resisting that because of what you're talking about. It's not going to have the impact or effect in an adverse way that you think it is, unless there's no accountability and no resolution.
Right.
So if you have your meltdown and you just go off, and that's, I think, the resolution part is, I think it is a struggle with a lot of individuals right now where they're having a hard time creating resolution in their lives. So they'll have a meltdown, they'll have this big come apart, they'll rip their world apart, so to speak, but then they don't go back and rectify, fix, put things together, clean up the mess.
Right.
They just kind of recluse and hide. And that in and of itself isn't healthy. And it would discourage you from doing it again. Yeah. And so all we have to do is we've got to get help. If you need help, reach out to us. If you need help, reach out to other providers. If you need help, reach out to people that can give you tools to put those pieces back together, because that resolution piece is super important in translating. And that's the key is as you download, as you put this new download in, as you do this new update, there's patches and updates and information and translation and network, all sorts of stuff inside of you on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level, social and financial even level that needs to be integrated. And sometimes we need help.
Yes, absolutely. So before we move on to, I really want to get to self-soothe because I'm super excited about that. But I feel like we need to kind of just get a common definition of resolution. Because I feel like sometimes there's words that we use with one another, right? And my perspective of what that word may be is different than your perspective of what that word might mean.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm a words girl, Dean. Like I'm a nerd when it comes to words. I like to make up my own.
Yep.
Like I'm a big fan of that. And sometimes I think we just have like, oh, this is what resolution means. Right. And for me, prior to, mentoring with you and training and becoming a value-based life coach, like I would just always have put resolution with New Year's resolutions, right? Like this is what I'm hoping to create. And I mean, I guess in a sense, that's a little bit what we're talking about with resolution, but it isn't, right? No. So let's talk about the coping strategy of resolution and kind of break it down for everybody a little bit.
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yep. So in a lot of ways, resolution is bringing things to a place of movement or a place of closure. So there is this resolving or bringing things to resolution. I can set goals, a New Year's resolution, meaning that things that aren't working in my life in the past, I want to fix them, and I'm resolving and putting a resolution in that I'm going to move this forward. So it's a commitment.
Yes.
And that's what, they're meaning on New Year's resolutions, is making that commitment to solve an issue or a problem. And that's where, again, on New Year's resolutions, most of the time we run into trouble, because we're not making resolutions out of trying to create. We're making it out of reaction to, well, I don't want to, not fit in my clothes anymore.
Right.
I don't want to be lazy. So it's this very negative energy versus, what am I working to solve or create to move myself forward? The other thing about resolution is, what I like to describe it is pulling yourself out of the present and the fears and all the anxieties of the present, of the future, pulling yourself out of the future, and then pulling yourself out of the past, where all of the depression, the sadness, the hurt, the fear, comes from. So you got your anxiety in the future, you got your depression and sadness in the past, and pulling yourself into the present and standing firm in the now what concept that we're always talking about. What am I going to do with this? How do I move this forward? How do I let this empower me?
Yes.
And I'm resolved to move this forward. So if I, for example, let's say I have a meltdown and I just go off on you, and I just, purge all this stuff that I've been holding in and stuffing down, and then I just walk away from that with no resolution, that's not healthy.
Right.
Now, I may need to walk away and take a time out, or maybe you might need to walk away for a minute and we take a time out. But resolution is me coming back and me fixing that, saying, hey, I apologize for losing my temper, or hey, these are the things that I'd like to work on between us, or these are the issues that I see. Here's my piece. What do you see as your piece? And creating some form of resolution to move yourself forward, instead of just, dropping a bomb and walking off.
Yeah, leaving all the loose ends just around like shoelaces to trip us up, right? So to piggyback off what Dean is saying, the way I love to think about resolution, it's bringing all those loose ends and creating a bow and like a nice little package that can be in resolve, right? Like I don't have to keep ruminating on something. Like I can bring it to its moment, creating a forward motion and letting go of whatever it is that I need to let go of. Also, like sometimes that's part of the resolution is learning that beautiful skill of just letting go. Like that I no longer have to hold that thing or carry that thing or put up with that thing. I can just let it go and move my life forward.
Yeah. And I think I think we have to be careful interpreting the letting go, because I think some people assume or think letting go is, I just don't ever think about it again. That's not what that means. Letting go means not white knuckling. Letting go means, it's that concept of we call it the balance between will and surrender type of thing that we talk about in seminar. And it's like when you're going into a hydroplane in your car, you don't just let go of the wheel. You just and let go of the wheel, even though there's a song about it. But you don't let go of the wheel and just go, oh, I'm resolved. I'm just going to let go of this mess. But you don't white knuckle it either. You don't just grip it to death, like try to over control it or oversteer it. So really what you're doing is you're relaxing the hands. You're holding yourself hands loose. You're letting off the gas. You stay away from the brake, and you allow the course to kind of correct itself. And that's that resolution of letting go. That doesn't mean let go. It means, okay, I can do this, and I can still stay focused on where I'm trying to go, if that helps.
100%. And I feel like for some of you out there, not only are you going to learn how to bring resolution to your life, but when you get into a slide this holiday season, you're going to know how to do that.
There you go.
I love that.
Yeah, turn into the slide.
So in the 5.5 minutes that we have left, let's kind of hit some of those points that you talked about.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's start with that self-soothe piece, because I really love that insight that you talked about, right? Like the fear or the resistance that we have to just allowing our breakdowns to happen. I always love that adage, and I don't know who to give credit to. So whoever this belongs to, congratulations. I like it. But like we need to break down to be able to break through, right?
Mhm.
Like we've got to be able to kind of shed some of those things in order to move forward into the next evolution of who we are. So it's that resistance to that breakdown. I loved your point out of, maybe we don't feel like we've got enough self-soothing tactics that we can make sure that we know that we're going to be safe.
Mhm.
We're going to be okay. Like just because I have this big meltdown doesn't mean I'm just going to be like a blob on the floor. Like I will be able to soothe myself and rise up from that, right?
Right. Yeah, the self-soothing is an interesting one to me because, there's so many facets to it
Mm.
depending on kind of how we grew as children, how we developed as human beings, the issues, challenges, traumas, hurts and pains of our lives. And so those all impact our ability to soothe ourselves. And we all find coping mechanisms. Some people use food, some people use
Mhm.
work, some people
Mhm.
use exercise,
Yep.
sex, pornography, whatever it is. There can be these soothing techniques or coping mechanisms or avoidant mechanisms. And
Yep.
as you can see, some of them can be healthy being used in an unhealthy way versus things that are, just plain unhealthy.
Right.
So when we go through a breakdown, a lot of times we're afraid of the emotion and the fear of the emotional discomfort. So when we start working on self-soothing, that's where we need to really implement coping skills and coping tools. So when we talk about in the 8 essential coping
Mhm.
skills, it's really important for us to start to lean into, evidence gathering.
Yes.
It's important for us to lean into controlling our focus. It's important for us to lean into that communication,
Mhm.
verbalizing and talking, and getting into the faith and hope,
Yeah.
the
Movement.
movement,
Mhm.
meditation and prayer, the resolution as we go
Acceptance.
acceptance pieces, we go through all of these. So it's kind of like if we go back to the update metaphor.
Mhm.
So it's like you're going to push go on the computer to do the update, but then all that fear starts to come in. The update starts to happen. So you can start to run with the what ifs and allow yourself to become emotionally unhappy and emotionally upset, or you can refocus your energy into soothing yourself
Mhm.
by focusing into things that are moving you forward, or and maybe using evidence to self-soothe and go, hey, I'm doing okay, this
Yeah.
is the past, I've had this happen before, I can be okay, etc.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of good self-soothing techniques that we can use. um, Physical, so exercise, we can use finding a comfortable place where we can kind of hunker down. Some of us need to kind of like sit on the couch in a blanket and
Yeah.
kind of find comfort there.
Yes.
Others need to go for a run and
Mhm.
and get their body moving. Some need some physical touch.
Yep.
Some might need people to give them a hug, hold their hand, pat them on the back.
Or even
Um,
to do that for yourself. I know that's one thing for me, right?
right.
Like the last time I had a big, huge old breakdown, I literally like, just held my heart. It was with this hand, and I just like rubbed it. I'm like, "You're gonna be okay," as I'm like, right? Like
Yeah.
it's okay. We're gonna be okay. Like literally just soothing myself, like I would like a sobbing 3-year-old.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. So there's that physical, the emotional support that we
Mm.
can do.
Yes.
We can really kind of get into that space where emotionally we're talking it through with other individuals, or maybe we're just talking it through with ourselves. We're making a video to ourselves, or maybe we're talking to ourselves. And
Mhm.
we were joking about this, where you can get in your car nowadays because of all the
Pop one
fancy
of these in.
gadgets, and you just get in your car, start driving. People think you're on the phone. You can talk to yourself, and
Yes.
so emotionally you can get that out. And so there's different ways that we can self-soothe: the mental, the physical, the emotional,
Mhm.
the social. All of these different ways that we can find solace and self-soothing. Even one of the really important ones is spiritually. Really turning to a higher power
Mhm.
that you feel connected to, or can find a way to feel connected to.
Yeah.
I know for me, for my spirituality, it's super important for me because my spirituality helps me see the bigger picture in those breakdown moments.
Yes.
Because for me, it's being able to kind of look at, where in the world I feel like I fit and how I am moving myself forward with the help of my creator or my higher power helps me to be able to go, okay, I can get through this. I've been through hard things, etc. So the self-soothe, there's so many other pieces that you can, we're out of time, but feel free to hit us up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of self-soothing we can talk through, a lot of these techniques and tools to be able to help. But breaking down, it's important.
Yeah.
That's your update. You need your update. Otherwise, over time, just like your computer, just like your phone, if you don't do the updates over time, all the bugs will come in, all the troubles will come in, all the issues will start to surface. And the thing that's a challenge with it is now they're harder and they're more challenging. And I see this so much, especially in marriages and couples and partners and in personal. There it goes. Relationships. Yeah, and we just don't. And then those things turn into resentments.
Yes.
And those resentments are those bugs inside, that really get us emotionally and personally. If I don't take care of myself or fix those things, they turn into resentments towards myself, which is even more dangerous, the resentment towards others.
Right, absolutely. And so I'm just going to echo what we've already said. If you feel like you're in this space and you need a safe place to kind of navigate through an update, I love this new thing that we're calling it, right? We would love to be able to love and support you through that. So let us do that any way that we can. And we even have support groups around here that are free 99. So
$3.99 every Monday.
So there's lots of ways to get loved and supported here at Turning Leaf Health and Wellness. And until next Tuesday night or maybe afternoon, only time will tell, live. We love you. Have a wonderful week. Mwah.
Okay.